Hey guys, welcome back to Island T right here on Win Media SKN. And as you have heard, we have a very special guest in the studio. Um, and of course, he came bearing gifts, so we have to respect that. We're in the studio. We have with us Mr. Leon Natta. Mr. Natta, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good. I'm good, and I'm pleased to be back. And of course, as promised, the next time I come on Island Tea, I will bring the tea. So
You see how you're talking, mine.
I just want to deliver. I just want to make sure I deliver.
I love it. I love it. But how are you? But how are you doing, man? I mean, there seems to be a lot happening. I could imagine that right now is a busy time for you. Yourself being involved in the political arena and just so much happening in and around politics in St. Kitts. We definitely one of the political spotlights in the Caribbean. So how have you been dealing with that and handling just all the extra energy that might be given to that particular part of your life?
Right. I'm glad for that question. Honestly, right now I'm in a good space. I'm happy. People look at my face and sometimes the people may say you have some beards and so because I'm happy. I mean my happy feeling right now. I feel like like Tawas Riley. It's my day. It's my time, and I'm so hopeful and that the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, despite all that is going on, will find some time for themselves to be happy, And I took some time off away. I still have processes going on with the government, and so it forced me to had to take some time off from St. Kitts so to find vacancy and support myself and my family. But in that time, it gave me time to think and reflect on what transpired during the last campaign, and at the same time keeping in touch of what was going on in St. Kitts during that time. There were some disappointing moments, one of which was, and it cemented in my mind why I need to be in politics. The dreadful moment of seeing a video sometime late August last year, especially during a COVID time. As difficult as things were, I think there's no reason for our citizens to be going to solid waste to storm a container that is about to dispose food. And when I saw that just before...
I missed this.
Yes, and when I saw that just before independence, and then you hear the independence message from the leaders of the country, the prime ministers and so on, that everything is good. I said, everything is saying it can't be good. And so that cemented in me the reason why I had to return to get on this platform again, so I can champion in the cause for the people. The last amount here, as him asked me about, I think it asked me about the success I had in the elections, and I mentioned to him the success I had outside of the elections, which was one where there was where we dub as the champion of the civil servants. If you look at what that victory has done, and I'm so glorified about it, is that look at all the political platforms right now. We have Senator Clark, who is a civil servant and is appointed as senator of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, who is in Parliament. That's a female. If you look at the PLP conference that they had some months ago, look at the person who chaired, who is from the legal office in the government. That's a civil servant also. If you look at who people are speculating to be civil servants, candidates for these other parties, you would see a young fellow who used to be a teacher and is now, I think, works at Sustainable, one work in agriculture, a young lady is mentioned who is working at social services, all civil servants. So the victory in the court has been decimated throughout, and the understanding is there now that civil servants shouldn't be left out. And look at the majority of them who are considered as women. So I think, there's much to be happy about, despite, but we can't forget what is going on. And so I'm so thankful of what my contribution was, and I'm even more thankful and hopeful of what my contribution is going to be going forward in this political season.
Well, let's talk about that. Many people would say that you may have one of the toughest fights as you would be coming up against the current Prime Minister. Last election you weren't successful, but what do you think you can do differently now that may bring a victory to your party and to cement your seat into the next government?
Right, and there's no doubt about it that if you look at it from the outside, rightfully so, the odds may be stacked against me, especially if you look at it as a numbers game. Success is relative. As I mentioned, I would have not been successful at the polls, but I think I made success in the impact on people's lives. Because of my presence, I think people were reached out to more than what was expected. People received more attention more than what was expected. I think the package that, after listening to the people and canvassing and so on, the package that I put together and said, these are what the intention would be to develop the constituency and beyond, people understood that. And I think having that experience, having that understanding, and also now, because of what has been going on, I think so much has transpired that the playing field is even now. There is
You think so?
I think so. I honestly think the playing field is even. The responses of the people when I canvassed the last time is much different now. People are more open up. They understand what is going on more now in the communities and in the country. And kudos to them, because I think people have taken the time to listen, to look at, and they have made a conscious decision that I deserve better. I want better, not just for myself, but for others. You know, I spent a lot of time yesterday in Molineux canvassing, and the responses and the communication and the discussions was so much different from the last time.
Can you share some of those?
Well, I'll share one in particular. This one particular house that I went to, a lady, and she has one son who is about 21, and next one who in probably 1 month time will be 18, and another 10-year-old. And we sat there and we discussed how the village of Molineux was back in the day. We championed the cause when it was in volleyball. At one point, our volleyball team was made up of, if there's 11 people, 10 of them or 9 of them used to be from Molineux. We were that dominant. In netball, we had Carmelita Gilbert and Miss Pennyfeather, who were champions, part of that back in the day, netball, all-star kind of thing. In cricket, when it comes to cricket, our legacy is cemented by the Noel Gishard, Livingston Harris, the Edgar Gilbert. We have those. Molineux used to be a place in St. Kitts where everybody wants to go. There was excitement. I played a role in that. I established a basketball league, a football league, and at our last meeting in St. Paul's, I saw a young guy and I said, I told your son the other day how he came about being your son, you know. It's because of the basketball league that was in Molineux. You came and saw his mother, and you became an offspring of that. So, you know, we need to bring back that part of our communities where we had that togetherness and so on. You know, and while we're here, I listened to a song that says, can't we all just get along? And I'm hopeful that my impact would change that type of tension that we have within the communities and so on. So I believe right now the playing field is a bit level. You know, lucky on my side, but lucky on the Prime Minister's side, because he has put himself in a corner that has shown light on people, and people have the understanding of, hey, we need to go. I think we need to go in a different direction.
Well, there's a comment, somebody saying, I guess one of your ideas last time was to replace a cemetery with a drag race track in Tabernacle?
That is far, well, I would say far from correct.
Okay.
I did introduce what we thought is a sport that need to be brought to St. Kitts and prevent some of those illegal races on the road. The sport is in Nevis. Right. And so the area of which it was identified was in Tabernacle along the main road, but across from the cemetery.
Oh, okay.
Right. And so I went, I did the homework, I did the research, see if it has the space and the capacity to put what was designed. And it's funny that the person said that because I have confirmation in the works that, and it was on SKN Times where the Prime Minister would have met with some drag racing people, and they came up with a plan similarly to what I had, put it out there, and it's going to call the Timothy Raceway, and it's going to cost $4 million. So my idea wasn't far-fetched. It was an actual good plan, and it was more than drag racing. It was for the people of Tabernacle to have something close enough that they can call home. It would have been outfitted with bars, and so it would have been more than just drag racing. It would have been a business opportunity for people to have bars and have a lime. We would have been having music festival race, Christmas race, carnival races, so that we can boost that type of sport in St. Kitts and Nevis. Not only that, go on the education side. It would have been outfitted with a mechanic area where people could have learned the trade of mechanicship. So it was a total package, was the intention of what the racing, the drag race ship put in Tabernacle. It was a complete thought-out process. And I hold nothing back from that. If given the chance, would still endeavor to establish that racetrack where I said I would.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So this, just for clarity, this would have been across like where we now call what's known as Amanwak?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I think, and you see, the politics comes into play. That same area used to be a farmland owned by a lease by a farmer, Farm Phillips's, and since my announcement of that, look who has occupied the land, Big T, the Prime Minister's nephew. So, so those are interesting things when you look at it, but, I don't get into that part. I just focus on the intention. It was pure, it was just, and I think it would have contributed a lot. And given a chance, I still think it's worth the while establishing in that area.
Okay. Well, I've heard that there will be a third candidate, a third potential candidate in your area, in your constituency. How do you think that would affect the fight that you have now that there's somebody else coming into the arena? You don't only have to worry about winning against the current Prime Minister. No, you have to worry about somebody else that may potentially win over you.
Well, that's fair, but I haven't seen. I remember seeing last week there were like a little poster going, with some PLP candidates, Labour candidates, and there was some vacancies with the PAM Slade. So it is somewhat surprising to me, but nevertheless, it's politics, and you don't know what can happen.
Remember, I said potential.
Right. But my focus remains the same. My focus is not even going up against the Prime Minister. My focus is to win the hearts and minds of the people of Constituency 7. That is my focus. If so be that it's Prime Minister plus one, then then that is it. I think I've pretty much sacrificed and showed people that, hey, I'm willing to do this. I'm in it. Not for me. I am not desperate for power. I am desperate to assist and provide the opportunities across the constituency. That is my focus. So regardless of who comes, my message will be the same, that Leon Natta Nelson is experienced and competent and willing and able to represent the people of number 7 and beyond.
Okay.
Right. Well, I mean, as we kind of navigate through what's happening politically, it seems as though people are beginning to ask questions about who benefits, who suffers, who's the biggest loser, etc., etc. From the standpoint of the Labour Party, I believe that, and again, I have no inside knowledge, but it does seem as though they have wisely taken advantage of the seeming confusion at the government side, launching candidates, being very visible and vocal as a alternative to the government that is there now. Is that something that you guys had been preparing for. The reason I'm asking that is it seemed as though the response was swift and precise. Is it something that you guys had anticipated? Perhaps we may be put in a position where elections can come earlier than one might have anticipated.
Right. I'll start off with a smile, and I'll answer you by going back to, I think it was the 26th of May, 2021. That is when I did my first interview at Island Tea. And similar question to you at that time was about the leadership of the party, to which I explained I have been around Dr. Douglas for some time, and rightfully so. I remain committed to his commitment of taking his word that he will not contest the next party conference, and that he would move on. We would have a new leader coming along, and that has happened. And so, having that happened, the other constituencies followed suit. It was always under the process of CSAC, the Candidate Selection Advisory Committee. It's a continuous working committee. We look at all the candidates and MPs around the party, and we say what is the best fit, who is most likely to better fit to serve the people in each constituency. And that is continuous work being done all the time. So during that time till now, even when we launched those two candidates some months ago, we knew where we wanted to go with our politics. We knew where we wanted to go with our representation. And we had so many applications, but we just had to take time, go through the process to make sure that we pick the right persons to carry out the task, because it's a daunting task. Did we expect to be in this position where we are now with this government? I can bravely say yes, or at least I can bravely say yes. If you look at what has transpired, at some point in time, if you look at, just take a time and just listen to the rhetoric that has been given out over the last several months by the government. One of which was particular to me when in a show, I could say by Patches Live, he said on the very first day of cabinet, one constituency number 4 representative would have asked for a specific position that is usually assigned to the Prime Minister. And that was telling for me, because it meant that from the very first cabinet, things were not in order on their side. And it was only a matter of time before things happened. If you look at the conventions that has happened in previous years, if you look at the statement that Sean would have made 2 months after the election saying that he's the next Prime Minister, all of those were signaling the political atmosphere that things were not how they ought to have been in a government setting. It's at the end of the day, I think one asks about the losers and the winners. When situations like this happens, the biggest loser is the people of St. Kitts Nevis, but when change come about, the biggest winner is the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Given the situation now, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis is losing because there is no proper leadership. There's not a functional cabinet. Despite you hear all of what is coming out of cabinet, it's not functional, and so there are difficulties across ministries, which shouldn't be because of the dysfunction. So I hope and pray that this could be resolved, and I think the best resolution for this is going back to the polls. Let people decide after all of what has been said and done. Let people decide, and I think going forward, whatever the decision is, it will settle down the country, for a while, for the desired time of which elections are usually called. So I look forward to that, and I hope that we can reach to a better place for the sake of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis.
So let me rephrase this question better. Mm-hmm. If you were put in the position where you were elected, what changes would you be able to bring about, given the current situation, or what would you do differently?
given the current situation, first of all, being elected on a labor team, an all government labor team, however the winnings are, but preferably all 8, I would say. We have the chance to hold each and one and all accountable for our actions. We can't look across and say, oh, you from a different party, you is responsible for that. Oh, you from a different party. No, it's a oneness. It's an all-inclusive approach on the same agenda, not different agendas, not hidden agendas. And so it makes it easier for us to work as a team. For myself, I have to stay committed to the cause, committed to the mandate. There's no need to be shifting here and shifting there. Understand what is the mandate of the people before you get elected and go according to the mandate. You're there to serve the people. Be committed to that first, everything else comes easy after. And so once you are committed to that, I think it should be easy sailing. People can go comfortably to know that you will be out there searching for jobs, creating jobs, find a way to bring opportunities to people, whether it's in entertainment or any other aspect. As a matter of fact, I have a meeting scheduled with some guys, some musical artists from Phillips's area. I need to show them where it is that they can't just rely on being called up for a music festival. They can't just rely on performing here and there and saying, because sometimes the music here gets a bit drawn out. They have to find a way to expand. And so I want to share with them the ideas that I have and how they can get their music from point A to point B and be successful by developing themselves and their minds and their music over a period of time. So, being committed is definitely critical to that part.
And I mean, Jade asked a question specific to the present situation. There has been suggestions that one of the things that could have helped to avoid the situation and something that should be instituted to help avoid it in the future is the institution of specific legislation to do exactly that. For instance, legislation that speaks to good governance, integrity in public life, etc., etc. Would that type of legislation be something that you can say you'd be committed to at this time?
Yes, and let us give credence to where it's due. We understand in that premise, we took the first step. We were the first one to says, let accountability start with us. And in accounting, and being an accountant myself, there's no partial accountability. Like there can't be partial piece. It's either you're accountable or not. That's just it. It's either yes or no. You're accountable or not. And so we took the first step by coming up with a code of ethics that provided a platform for the behavior of our candidates in government and out of government. That's the first step that we took. And all of the candidates are asked to sign on to that so that they understand what is expected of us by the party. When I say party, not just the leadership of the party, but the people that supports the party, the membership of the party. That will then be transferred into government. Our behaviors, our ethics, our moral standards of how we conduct ourselves. So we shouldn't be going into a government with any skepticism about our characters, our business line, our credit line, none of that. We should be in good standing, not perfect standing, but in good standing with our party supporters and go into government knowing that the public will have confidence in that. Yes, there are some things that were hot debate several years ago, Public Life Integrity Act and those of the likes. We do believe in those things. In a modern day, and with all that has been going around, if you look at the situation in BVI, if you look at similar situations across the world, it's time that we advance to those type of things. That's why for some time I would never understand why we had changed the scope of one of those legislation. I can't remember what it is. I'll get back to that sometime. But we have to remain atop the Caribbean in terms of our procedures, our practices, our information, our transparency, our accountability. We've done so in so many different regards. But I think good governance is where we can improve and we believe that we can make a difference.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, you know how time goes,
Yes,
and
yes.
when you're chatting, it flies even
Yes.
faster.
Yes,
So we would have to wrap up because the clock on the wall is telling us it is 3 minutes to 10.
Oh, wow.
Yes, which means we are bringing to a close this episode of Island Tea. But before you go, is there anything you want to leave the listeners and viewers with?
Does he want to tell us?
I
does
kept
he
my
want to tell
promise.
us about?
I delivered.
Well, hold on. As him is asking.
Yeah, I was about to ask him if he wants to let us know about how much fun they'll be having in the meetings when they watch what happening on the Unity side. If you have the biggest game crack.
You can imagine the group chat, sir.
Hey,
How the group chat looking? How the group chat looking?
man, it's fabulous. It's fabulous. But we are focused. We are focused on the people. As fabulous as it is, because fabulous could also mean, But we are still concerned that the people's interest needs to be looked after. But every journey deserves sometimes to enjoy a moment. If you look at our public meetings, we enjoy ourselves because we love being there before the public. We love putting up ourselves, enjoying ourselves. That is the type of energy that we want to bring to governance in St. Kitts and Nevis. We want this place to be a place where you can live again, smile again, go out again, feel good. Not everybody feel tense and watching everybody because of political partisan and those type of things. Make St. Kitts a livable place again. And that's really where I want to leave it, that the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party is committed to making St. Kitts and Nevis a place where each and every one of us want to live again. We want to hear good news about St. Kitts and Nevis. We want to hear about development, education, everything successful in St. Kitts and Nevis. And I think we are poised to do that. We are committed to do that. I am committed. The leader is committed. My colleagues are committed. And so give us a chance. Give us a chance at this time around to make sure that when you install a government, you will be happy thereafter. And we give you our commitment. I give the people of Number 7 my commitment. And I look forward to whenever the elections are called. As Nature B said, I can't wait.
Okay. All right, there you have it. Thank you, Natta, for joining us this morning and, sharing your thoughts and your words with us on the ongoing situation and what may be coming up very soon.
Right.
I'm pretty sure you'll be back to give us some more insights when time draws nearer.
Right.
I know that you'll have lots to say. So thank you again for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me every time.
Yes.
Pleasure
And thank
to
you
be
for the
here.
tea as well that you promised.
Of course. As I'm sure you'll get yours in due time.
Indeed.
All right. Thank you. Thanks again, guys.
Bye. Well, boy, there you have it. Another episode of Island Tea, Azem.